VC, Brother Eric here, Plastic Soundwave Cult. Welcome. So we're here today to do a vinyl tag that's been put together by our man Sam, the Vinyl Douche. He did his douche edition. He did his douche edition. He did his douche edition. Now I'm thinking about it too hard. Sam the man, the Vinyl Douche, did his douche edition of Vinyl Tag. It's been taken off. A lot of people have been doing it. And as soon as I saw this, I wanted to make a video on it. So, as I started getting into it, I found out a few things about the Vinyl Douche. And that might explain the title of this particular video. You know, it's not very well known that Sam here is a huge Manfred Mann fan. And his favorite song by them is Blinded by the Light, and that's where he got his channel name from. You know, blinded by the light, I watch Vinyl Douche with the meat stick in the night, blinded by the light. Oh man, I can't believe I just did that. But seriously, he had some really good questions on his tag, and so I wanted to go ahead and get into those. And so these are a mix of questions from over the years of vinyl tags in the past. So he picked out a couple of juicy ones and figured, okay, we'll mix it up and we'll do this midsummer, early summer tag, but not the summer tag. All right, so let's get into these questions here. What's the first video you saw in the VC? Well, if I want to count it as the VC, there's a lot of record channels out there that I wouldn't really call a part of the VC. Vinylize, Vinyl Rewind, those guys kind of do their own little thing, whereas the VC that I think of is all the people that communicate with each other about the records that they show. And so to me, the first video I saw, the first liked video that I have is the Noble Records 750 subs contest. But I know I watched him at least 4 or 5 times before I got to that video. So I would say about a month before that video came out, whatever that particular video was, that's when I started watching VC videos. Question number 2. Shout out to other VC channels that deserve more viewers. Well, when I first saw this video, a guy that had a kind of little bit smaller channel than I did, but has already grown beyond my channel, was Mark Wald, Vinyl Crush. Shows some interesting records, and quite frankly, he's just a beautiful man. But he's already gone past my channel. As far as I know, I'm like one of the smaller channels out there by far, which doesn't really bother me. It makes it really easy to stay in contact with people, or at least fairly decently in it. I'm a terrible letter writer. But I do want to mention some channels that definitely have helped out, that do shout outs for me. And that would have to be Cosmic Brian, Rachel, the Music Ma'am, John at Digital Gramophone. Vinyl Gurus actually give me a couple shout outs. I'm not too sure how many others have given me shout outs. Sometimes I probably miss them. Those are the main ones that I know that, like, when they mention my channel, I go, woohoo. Question number 3. What are your other hobbies? Well, my other main hobby is aquariums. I get really relaxed watching fish. It sounds so stupid. And people think that they're kind of stupid animals, but I'm always amazed how they do connect with you on a certain level. Um, if I walk into the room, they all move to the glass. They know when they want to get fed. I just have to reach up to where their food is, and they all start doing that little fish waggle. I'm amazed because they don't even have arms, but they can figure out that this motion is to get food. And I just recently saw a video with Car- Karmic Comic Rema, Comic Rema, sorry. And he had a tank with guppies and Amano shrimp, which, oddly enough, I also have a guppy tank with Amano shrimp. Um, yeah, it's a cool hobby. It does take a little effort to do, but once you get dialed in on it, it's fairly easy. And you kind of have to know about as much about that as you do, like, trying to figure out, like, the best pressing to get or whatever, you know. So you have to be knowledgeable in order to do that hobby, and those are the kind of hobbies I tend to go for, are ones where it has a large capacity to learn. Question number 4. Why did you start to collect? I had a friend that played records all the time, and I just enjoyed starting to handle his records again. I had records in the late 70s up through the beginning of the 90s, and then I went on a trip, and while I was gone, my records got stolen. But I had already been getting into CDs, and then maybe 4 or 5 years ago, my daughter, um, she's a real big My Chemical Romance fan, and she wanted every version of their albums that you could get. And so she started getting the albums, and then when I'd never really seen colored vinyl before, and some of those were really pretty, and I thought, ooh, that'd be neat to get records too. So I started. We decided to get her a turntable so she could at least listen to them. And I thought, well, if she's going to get a turntable, I might as well get stuff to put on it too. And, that's how these addictions start, innocently enough, from your kids. Question number 5. Do you play a musical instrument or been in a band? I was in beginning band and intermediate band in junior high. I played the drums. I got pretty decent. I just couldn't read music very well. And so I was a little bit of a dickhead student, so I got a big fat F in band, so I decided I'd never do that shit again. Which I regret, because I wish I would have really learned how to play at least like guitar or something like that. I think that would be cool to just, hey, if the power goes out, you can grab your acoustic guitar and just start playing something, At least you still get to listen to music. And I've never been in a band. Questions. Have you ever worked in a record store? No. Okay, so now we move out of the personal information and move more into the musical information. So let me grab my piece of paper so I can remember these fucking questions. Number 7. What was the last album you purchased? Actually, just this week. I had the tape for this, but the tape had disintegrated. I decided that it wouldn't be right to keep it or to play or to sell it to somebody else because it's just going to ruin their tape player. So I tossed it and went ahead and bought the LP for Modern Lovers. Holy crap, this is such a good album. I cannot stop listening to this. I do have a playlist that I made for this. If you look to the eye, you'll see that I put 2 songs from most of the albums that I showed here. But the songs on this are Roadrunner is really good. The whole first side is excellent. I'm still learning the second side a little bit more, but it's still pretty catchy to me. But I didn't get a chance to listen to it the way I wanted to. But the first side is a perfect side. What can you say? The Modern Lovers, man. These guys were so far ahead of their time. This album came out in 1976. But from what I understand, it was done from demos from 72, possibly from 71. The vocals, the way everything sounds, these guys were really, really ahead of their time. And I guess maybe that's the thing that's flipped me out on this record is when you look at it in the context of when it was made, yeah, it's just incredible that these guys came up with this sound. The Modern Lovers. Show a great album with a bad cover. I would have to go with this. This is such a good album. I know Bittersweet Symphony is the big song off of here. That's the one everybody likes. That is probably closer to the bottom of my favorite songs on this album. The other cuts in this album are absolutely incredible. Supersonic, great 60s psych sound blended in with, you know, a modern 90s sound. Yeah, just when you sit down and just listen to this record, it just takes you places. And I personally find 2 songs on here totally booming is Come On and Rolling People. Those songs just, whoo, they're like modern day versions of like Manic Depression by Jimi Hendrix to me. Supersonic, just super spacey. Love it. Love it, love it. The why they made a picture of them sitting in the fucking park for their album cover. It's like, this is a great album. We can just phone in the cover. The Verve, Urban Hymns. Number 9. An album you wish you had an OG copy of. Well, to get the CD for this answer was already a pain in the butt. And I've seen it on vinyl, and I want to get it on vinyl so bad. Kate Bush, The Whole Story. This is her, I think, her first greatest hits album that she put out. Then once they put out a much more refined version, not of this album, but of her greatest hits of stuff that came after this. They did, I think, a really nice box set, and once that box set was done, they stopped making this. It cost me a pretty penny just to get the CD. I can't imagine what the vinyl would cost. Such a good album. All of her hits, all the way from Wuthering Heights, Army Dreamers, Sat in Your Lap, Experiment 4, The Man with the Child in His Eyes is such a good song, Breathing, Wow, Babushka, Experiment 4 is great. I mean, everything on this. Hounds of Love, probably one of her more popular songs. Beautiful lady who makes beautiful music. I need to get this on vinyl. Show an album by a female artist. Well, I know I just did that, but let's go with this lady. Madonna. Huge, huge, huge in the 80s. This is one of my favorite albums by her. I know some people tend to think that it's the beginning of her downslide. I disagree. The songs on here, Papa Don't Preach, okay. It's an okay song. I still like it. Open Your Heart is a great song. Live to Tell is probably my favorite song by her. It's just really, really dark and pretty. La Isla Bonita, come on. That is just some pure Spanish goodness by a white girl. True Blue's pretty good. Where's the Party? That's probably one of the songs where I go, but it's still pretty good. Overall, this whole album is just absolutely incredible. It had a few hits off of it. What else can I say? It's Madonna. True Blue. Okay, show and earwave song. Now, I guess this song is just a single. I tried to look up this guy's albums, and it doesn't look like this single appears on any of his albums, but holy shit is it an earworm. I found out about it from my brother. He makes really nice comp albums that he sends to me, and about 3 or 4 times a year. He does a beautiful job on them. All handmade, basically. He makes his own covers. I mean, these are absolutely fantastic. I love these things. I learn a lot of new music from my brother. He's kind of more like John from the Digital Gramophone, where he likes that much smarter music than I do, so he knows how to look and find that great stuff, pretty much like Sam too. And so I find out a lot of stuff from my brother, but the song on here that really gets me is called Teardrops by Roosevelt. That song is super duper fucking catchy. I love that song. It's got a little disco vibe to it. I'm not a hater of disco, even though I like metal. I still like it funky. But if you get a chance to go to the playlist, check out the last song, Teardrops by Roosevelt. Brilliant fucking song. Show the best posthumous release. Well, when I read that at first, I thought maybe posthumously. Man, I struggle with that fucking word. Well, let's go on to number 13. What artist do you impulsively collect? The OCs. If I see an OCs record I don't have, I'm buying it. Show an underrated album. I would say this is more probably underrated in the US, though from what I hear, it's kind of underrated in England as well. The Scottish band Biffy Clyro, Only Revolutions. Every song on here is so good. It bangs all the way through. Great crescendos. It's a mix of like Foo Fighters, Goo Goo Dolls, and maybe a little left field sprinkled in there. And a little Fugazi. Great fucking sound. It's a band from Scotland, and you could tell because the guy has a thick accent when he sings. But it really does add to the way you interpret the music. And because of this, I actually bought other albums by them. This is an absolutely great album. If you get a chance to get it, get it. It bangs all the way through. Biffy Clyro, Only Revolutions. A favorite double album. Well, then you know we're going to 8. So then you know we're going to go OCs. Double album, 33 RPM. So that, to me, makes it count as a double album. The OCs, Face Stabber. Holy shit, this is a good album. And it's good from start to finish. And such a good OC sound. They have a 21-minute song on here called Henchlock, which is so good and so jammy, and just you feel like they're right in the room with you, just jamming out to that song. Especially if you got the right sound stage, it is absolutely phenomenal. Every song on here kicks ass. The Daily Heavy starts it off with a nice squeak. Scudum and Scorpius. That is like traveling through 4 gateways into music. Absolutely amazing song. Captain Loosely, and of course Henchlock. Heartworm is a good song. SS Luker's Mom. Every song on here is so good. The only bummer about this is this album. If I show it next to another album here, is quite a bit taller than other albums. And you say, oh, that's not that much. No, you cannot fit that thing in any sleeves whatsoever. It is a huge pain in the ass. But that would literally be my only complaint about this. The album cover is cool. The inside is absolutely gorgeous. This is on just black vinyl. I wasn't able to get the colored version of this because it went lickety splickety. But yeah, if you get a chance, OC's Face Stabber from 2019. They got a new one coming out soon, I hear. Show a Rainy Day album. This is the ultimate rainy day album. You just want to kick back, listen to the rain. It has rain in the first song. This is a nice, smooth, electronic-y, jazzy, groovy, soulful, just batch of tunes. The first song on here is got one of the best fucking bass lines ever, and just the way that it sounds. These guys are fucking brilliant. This is their first album, Air Moon Safari. I would say some of the names of their songs, but they're in French. They're a French band, as noted here, Air French band. Yeah, this is their first album. I don't have any other albums. I've heard that this is the best one. And when you look up stuff on them online, it's always from this album that they show. So I don't know how well they're known in Europe or how popular they are, and I don't know how popular they are over there, but this album here is just sitting down, closing your eyes, opening the windows, letting the cool air blow through, and enjoying this on a nice, wet summer day. Not humid, rainy, with some thunderstorms in the background. Air Moon Safari. Okay, number 17. Show an album by an artist you've met. Well, unfortunately, I can't do that. Here's the weird story behind how I met this person, this artist. It's the only person I've ever met like this, or that's, in a fairly well-known band. So I've known people in bands, but we're really not that big. They're just, local bands. But the only big artist I've ever met was this one person. And so basically, there's a guy that used to live down the street from me. He moved away about 2 or 3 years ago. Every so often he would come by, ring the doorbell, ask me how my water pressure was in the house and stuff. And he would complain about his water pressure at his house. And so that would happen occasionally. And then it started being when I would work out in the yard. He would be walking by, out for a walk. And he'd be like, hey, how's it going? Blah, 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 blah. So I didn't know him that well, but I talked to him quite a bit over like a 15-year period all the time. Well, one day I'm coming home, And there's this weird lady that sometimes hangs around the neighborhood, and she likes to go through people's mail. And one day I'm coming home, and I see this person going through Mr. Peterson's mailbox. So what I end up doing is kind of going over there and saying, "Hey, get out of their mailbox," and then she takes off. So I figured I would go and let Mr. Peterson know somebody was in your mailbox. You might want to get your mail out of the mailbox. So he comes to the door, and then this other, he's an elderly gentleman, and somebody much younger comes out, which I assumed was his daughter, and was like, "Oh yeah, really? Oh, let's go get the mail." She goes and gets the mail, comes back. She's like, "Thank you very much for keeping an eye out for my dad." And then Mr. Peterson is going, "That's my daughter, Vicky." And I'm like, "Okay." And he says it like 2 or 3 times. And I'm looking at her and I'm thinking, I know I've seen this person somewhere else, but I can't put my finger on it. And I end up asking her, like, "Did you go to high school or something up here? Or, is that where I know you from?" And she's like, "No, I went to school down in LA. I grew up in LA, so my parents just retired up here. But no, I never went to high school up here." She goes, "I just got one of those faces." So, we talk a little bit longer, then they all go inside. I go, start to walk home. And as I'm walking home, my neighbor next door is outside, and he's like, "Oh, did you get to meet Vicky?" And now I'm like, hold the phone here. What is the deal with this person? It's like, this should be somebody that I know, and I don't know why I don't know this person. And he's like, "Yeah, that's Vicky Peterson from the Bangles." And so I'm like, oh, and I realized I don't know if I, was possibly pissing her off because, I don't know if she's used to being recognized everywhere she goes or not. I kind of recognized her, but I just didn't know it was her. And I thought I used to have the tape of the album with Manic Monday on it, and I could not find it. I was thinking I'd go over there and have her sign it, and that'd be the only thing I'd have signed by a person. But for whatever reason, I still have not gotten a Bangles album. It isn't that I don't like them. I do like the songs when I hear them on the radio or hear them now and then. I'll even pull them up on YouTube and listen to them. But I just haven't gotten around to... That's more of an album that when I see it, then I will grab it. But yeah, it was weird to me that Mr. Peterson, in the 15 years that probably led up to that point, because it wasn't too long after that he moved, he never once mentioned to me ever about his daughters are Debbie and Vicky Peterson in the Bangles. We just talked about all kinds of other stuff, not that. So yeah, that's my weird I met a rock star story. The only one I got. Okay, show an album with sentimental value. I have a few, and I showed one before that had a lot of sentimental value. But for real family, sentimental value, 24 of Hank Williams' greatest hits. I bought this CD from my dad in like either the late 80s or early 90s. Well, when did it come out? 1976. So at least the album version did probably. The CD version, I don't know when it came out. But my dad really liked Johnny Cash and Hank Williams. And I guess he gets the Hank Williams from his dad. And one day in the early 90s, my grandpa, to make him feel more relaxed instead of listening to my usual ruckus that I like to listen to, I put on Hank Williams. And my grandpa was tickled pink. And he's like, "Is there a way to tape that?" So I happened to have a blank tape. It was still the early 90s. Grabbed a blank tape. I recorded Johnny Cash at San Quentin. And come on, dude, not right now. Take it easy. I get it. It's hot. I'm trying to make a video, dude. Thank you. So where was I? So I made a tape with Johnny Cash at San Quentin and this on the other side. And when my grandpa passed away, my grandma made a point of telling me that she had to listen to that tape every time they got in the car. That's the only thing my grandpa wanted to listen to. And that kind of touched me because my dad is one of 12, and I've got to have at least 100 cousins. And cousins once removed. I mean, when we do family reunions, we literally take up entire resorts. No joke. So yeah, Hank Williams, greatest hits. 24 of them. Show an album turning 20 years old. I think we can all agree that this is a total classic. Disturbed, The Sickness. 20 years old this year. Hard to believe. It's been 20 years we've been able to listen to that thing. I'm not a professional. I'm sorry, it's ooh. Close, but mine's more Billy Goatish. Very interesting album cover. This probably could fall under bad album covers. Yeah, it shows the importance of circumcision, I think. You know, if you don't take care of that shit, it can take over. Which makes this guy kind of a dickhead. Okay, show a trilogy of albums. Show a trilogy of albums. Well, for me, that would have to be the first 3 Queen albums. Queen 2, and Sheer Heart Attack. I think this is the portion. I kind of break them up into their discography. You know, the first 3, then up to Jazz, and then The Game and On kind of is another kind of, you know, they're 3 parts of their careers with Freddie Mercury. All 3 of these albums are so good. You touch on pretty much, if you listen to all 3 of these in a row, every genre of music that had been and would come for later. Their version of Stone Cold Crazy still kicks ass over anything else. Liar is such a good song, which used to be the beginning for the Old Grey Whistle Test in England. Brighton Rock is such a good song. 7 Seas of Rye. Now I'm Here. The Black Queen. One of my favorite songs from them is Doing Alright. I think that is such a good song. How it starts off so smooth and then just drops the fucking hammer. So even though they're not officially a trilogy, these 3 albums here were just gave you a good idea of what was going to come from this band. And this is when they were breaking their teeth on what they wanted to be. And when you hear these 3 albums, you can feel where songs like Bohemian Rhapsody were born from. Yeah, huge Queen fan. Queen 2, Sheer Heart Attack, great trilogy. So, those are my questions to the Vinyl Douche edition of the summer mid-year tag. Great questions, Sam. Had a lot of fun doing this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it too. I think these kind of questions and you know, other tags are a great way of getting to know each other. There's so many of them out there. I wish I could do them all, but unfortunately
I got shit I always gotta get done. But that being said, I had to do this for Sam. I love his channel. Definitely likes the smarter side of pop and rock. Great, great learning experience every time I watch his channel because probably like 19 out of 20 times I've never heard or seen the album that he's talking about. So I love learning about that stuff on his channel. So rock on, Vinyl Douche. And I think those kind of connections are great. And that just proves to me that it's not just about the music. Peace out.